usual suspects, Bullets Over Broadway, Modern Family, A Bronx Tale. You know him, you love him, Analyze This, whatever it is. Please welcome our guest today, Chazz Palminteri.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Chazz, welcome to Wizard World.
Oh, it's okay. It's good to be here. Thanks a lot.
Well, Chazz, first, most important thing, family's healthy, everybody's healthy, safe at home?
Yes, thank God everybody's okay now. Yes, everything's good. My wife got the virus about 6 weeks ago, but it was okay. Now she's fine.
Well, Chazz, we're happy for you. I know the fans all over the world are going to start expressing that sentiment as well in the chats, and we're glad that you're well and that she's better. And obviously, from Wizard World to you and everyone across the world, we hope everyone gets through this, and we know we're working hard at it. The first thing I wanted to ask you, as a big fan, I grew up. I went to school at Fordham. My dad grew up about 3 miles from school. But what? Tell us a story of how A Bronx Tale got from being a play in Los Angeles to a major motion picture to the icon that it is today.
Well, I'll try to do the shorter version, but I'll give it a try. It really started from this one-man show. When I was 9 years old, I was sitting on my stoop, just like you saw it in the movie, and this guy killed a man right in front of me. And I was like, wow, I was stunned, I was like, what? And he stared at me just like in the movie, and the little boy stared at him, and he walked away, and he kept staring at him. And then my father, the next minute, my father grabbed me and dragged me upstairs, exactly like it is in the movie. Then the cops came, and I went right on the guy. So something like that is, you never forget something like that. And when I got older, obviously, I was in L.A., and I got tired of, I was working as a doorman. I ran out of money. I did a bunch of shows. I was on Hill Street Blues. But then I ran out of money after that, after about a year and a half. So I decided to get a bouncing job, because that's what I used to do in New York. So I was working at a nightclub, and then I split, and I went out to LA, and I said, all right, I'm going to be here for a while. I got a job as a bouncer there. And then all of a sudden, one night, I'm working at this club, and this guy comes over to me, and it was really arrogant and belligerent, because he said, hey, I have to get in. And I said, well, wait a minute, is your name on the list? And he said, don't you know who I am? And I said, yeah, you're the guy who's not getting in. And he got really mad at me. And the boss came out, and the guy was Swifty Lazar. Now, for those of you who don't know, Swifty Lazar was the biggest agent in the world at the time. And I just told him he couldn't get into his own party. So I got fired. And 15 minutes later, I went home, and I sat at the edge of my bed, and I said, what the hell am I going to do? I had a couple of $100 in the bank. And I said, well, you know what? If they won't give me a great part, I'll write one myself. Because I saw my father's card on my refrigerator that I kept. The saddest thing in life is wasted talent. He always told me, don't waste your life, son.
We heard that somewhere before. We're going to hear that again, I think.
Yeah. Yes, you are. And then I got 5 tabs of yellow paper, and I started writing A Bronx Tale. And after 10 months of writing it and performing it at my theater workshop in Theater West, I borrowed some money from my friend, and I produced it. And bam, my life exploded. I mean, every Hollywood actor, director, producer, studio head wanted to make the movie when they saw me do it. But the problem was, as great as I was in it, they told me they didn't want me. They wanted to put a star in the role, and every star wanted to play Sonny, and every director wanted to do it. And I said no. So the first offer was $250,000, which kind of threw me. And I said, $250,000? And I said, well, let me get back to you tomorrow, because it kind of stunned me. But then I talked it over with my parents at the time about us. And I said, no, I want to play Sonny. I want to write the screenplay. They said, forget it. And they hung up. I said, okay. So I just went back to the theater, kept doing the show. The crowds kept getting bigger. The reviews kept getting huge in the Times, Hollywood Reporter, Variety. Finally, they called me up 3 weeks later and said $500,000. And I said, am I going to play Sonny? am I going to write the screenplay? It's my life. They said, we can't do it, Chazz. I said, well, then forget it. They said, you're going to turn it down? I said, yes. Boom. That was it. I kept doing it again. A month goes by, and I signed with William Morris right before that. And William Morris said, there's another company, a studio wants to make a deal with you, but they want to do it in person. I said, okay. I went there with him. I'm sitting across this desk, and the guy leans over and puts a paper down in front of me and says, if you sign that check, if you sign that paper, you have a check for $1 million tomorrow. And I said, $1 million? He said, yes. Now, listen to me. My hand to God, I had $200 in the bank. I said, is there a bathroom here? He said, yeah, there's right over there. I said, I'll be right back. I walked into the bathroom. I put water on my face. I looked in the mirror, and I put my hand in my pocket, and I took out my father's card about wasted talent. Now, can I curse over here right now? Can I?
Yes, this is open. FCC can't get.
I just want to be exactly right what I did. And I looked in the mirror, and I said, fuck it. And I walked back out, and I said, I'll sign that paper. And they all started grinning. I said, but I play Sonny, and I write the screenplay. And they said, Chazz, we can't do it. You're great, but you're an unknown. No one knows you. And I said, well, then I can't do it. And I stood up. My agent stood up, and we were walking out. And he said, you know, Chazz, the head of the studio said, this movie will never get made. And I said, you're right. It won't with you, but it will get made. He goes, what makes you so sure? He goes, why are you so sure? I said, because it's just too fucking good. And I walked out. And 2 weeks later, I'm in there doing the show, and a guy comes over to me. He says, Robert De Niro is waiting for you in the dressing room. He just saw the show. I just got off the stage. I walked in my dressing room, and there's Bob De Niro. I didn't know him. And I said, hi. And he said, hi. He says, he goes, that was the greatest one-man show I ever saw. He goes, you did a movie on stage. I said, thanks, Bob. He goes, I really want to make this movie. I said, I know, but he goes, I know. You want to play Sonny. You want to write the screenplay. He goes, I'll tell you how I feel. You should play Sonny because it's your life and you'll be great at it. And you should write the screenplay because it'll be real and honest. I'll direct it, and I'll play your father, and we'll go partners. And he shook my hand, and that's what happened. That's it.
It's an LA tale about a Bronx tale. Yes?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
We're fielding some great questions from across our platforms. And on Facebook, we have a question from Tio Gennaro. And Tio wants to know, the Bronx Tale, are those characters based on real people that you knew? I mean, everyone knows Mush, right? Everybody knows one of those guys. Are they based on real people?
Well, first of all, talking about Mush, that was Eddie Mush. That really is Eddie Mush. We couldn't find a character to play Eddie Mush. And De Niro said to me, this is a funny story. De Niro said to me, hey, why don't we go up and look for the real Eddie Mush? I said, come on, Bob. I said, the guy's a jinx. I don't want to put him in the movie. And he said, come on, let's go find him. We went up there. Eddie Mush was standing on a corner with a racing form in his hand, exactly like I told Bob he would be. I got out of the car. I walked over to him. He goes, hey, C, how you doing? I heard they're making a movie about the neighborhood. I said, yeah, why don't you come over to the car? Somebody wants to talk to you. He says, I ain't walking over to no car. He goes, bullshit. He goes, I owe too many people money. Don't set me up. I said, I'm not setting you up. Just come over to the car. De Niro's there. He goes, Robert De Niro, I hear. I go, yeah. He goes, you're full of shit. He walks over to the car. Bob puts down the window and he goes, holy shit, it's Bob De Niro. and De Niro goes, Eddie, I want you to come to my office on Monday at 12 o'clock. I want you to read. I want to see if I can put you in the movie. Now, imagine this. Bob De Niro is telling you this. You were absolutely right. What does Eddie Mush say? 12 o'clock. Can I come at 3? And Bob just looks at him, says, okay. He goes, but why you got to come at 3? I'm just curious. And Eddie Mush says, well, I got to make the daily double at Aqueduct. The race.
But the daily double has to make him at Aqueduct. Yes.
Yeah. And we laughed, and we laughed, and Bob said, that's the guy. We got to put him in the movie. A lot of those guys are all based on real guys.
I mean, two of the most memorable scenes in the movie is when you send him to the bathroom when they're shooting craps.
Oh,
and when you're
yes.
at the racetrack and he's tearing up the slips before the race is over because he's got the same.
Exactly. I mean, before the race, when you know Eddie Mush bet your horse, it's over. It's over. Let me tell you something. The bookmakers in my neighborhood would not take Eddie Mush's action anymore. You know why? Because no one would bet until Eddie Mush bet. Once he bet, all the guys in the neighborhood would go the other way. So the bookmaker stopped. He said, "Look, Eddie, I can't take your action. You're a jinx to me." And that was it.
Fading Eddie Mush before anyone.
That's right.
We have a question now from Twitter from Jesse Moore, and he wants to know if you ever considered or even thought of doing a prequel. You know, Sopranos is doing a prequel now. You ever think of doing a prequel to say, you know, how did Sonny become who he was in the neighborhood?
Yeah. You know what? I thought about that, but I just really haven't sat down and wrote it. And if I did, I would want De Niro, obviously, to direct it. He did such an amazing job with the first one. It's something to think about. It really is.
Another question, Academia Esports has a question. What's the proudest moment you've had in your career? I mean, you've done 50 movies, whether it's with this film or what's a proud moment for you that stands out?
Wow. Well, there's a bunch of them. I would have to say one of the proudest moments, obviously, other than my marriage and the birth of my children, if you're talking about just career moments.
Yeah, please.
I would have to say that when I did A Bronx Tale for the very first time, it's in entirety at the Ensemble Studio Theater. And I thought there was going to be 30 people there, but there was stunned. I said, "Oh my God, I never did this before." I did just sitting on a chair, standing up and sitting down with no lights, no music. And I did it. And at the end of it, everybody stood up and gave me like a 10-minute standing ovation. And I was like, what is going on? And I was like stunned. And then everybody walked out. We walked outside and everybody was on the corner with me, congratulating me and telling me how great it was. And all of a sudden, everybody kind of walked away. And I was all alone on this corner by myself, and it was late. And I started walking towards my car, which was a block away, my beat up 1972 Honda Civic. And I walked towards it, and all of a sudden I just screamed as loud as I can in the middle of the street. Ah! It was like all the years of frustration. And I started crying. And I smiled and I got in my car and I drove away. I never forgot that moment.
No, that's great. And that shows, where this came. It goes back to your original story of how this turned from a one-man show to a movie. But now it's come full circle. The show is still going.
Yeah, it's it's the first time in entertainment history that anyone has done the one-man show, the movie, the musical. I've written and started all three, and actually we're actually doing now the documentary, how it all happened, because all these stories I'm telling, it's pretty crazy. So I decided to do a documentary about it.
That's amazing. So in addition to that, and to working on your Godfather of Harlem, the second season will eventually.
Yes.
How has that been? That first season was really great.
I think it's a great series. So many great actors, and I'm really excited to be in that.
Yeah, Giancarlo is one of our favorites. He's been to our Wizard World shows. I know.
Oh yeah, I mean Vincent D'Onofrio, Paul Sorvino. It has an amazing cast.
That's great. And another big endeavor of yours. I know we're not open right now, but the restaurant. And that leads us into another question we have from Tariq Rabbani. Tariq says, "Hi, Chazz. Your restaurant is my favorite in all of Manhattan. The spaghetti de Tony is his favorite. What's your favorite dish, Chazz, at the restaurant?"
I love my restaurant. My restaurant was voted number the top Italian restaurants in Manhattan. I mean, my favorite restaurant is something called the Bronx Tale. They named it after me because I loved it so much. And that was, it was linguine. It was linguine with the lobster tail, shellfish, with a brandy sauce. It's pretty phenomenal.
That is amazing. It sounds good. I know I could never make that. Another question from Cullen Dixon wants to know, since you've done all this different writing, do you prefer writing for the stage or for the screen?
Well, I've written for both. I've written more for the stage. I really like writing for the stage because I can control it more. When you write for the stage, the writer is the king. When you write for the movie, the director is the king, which is fine. But I sometimes, I like things the way they are. And I'm very opinionated. And where the stage is, that's it. It's just you and boom, it's there. I like it very much.
That's neat. So again, everyone, I know you're enjoying the Q&A as all of us are. If you do want that one-on-one video with Chazz following this right at the top of the hour, go right now to wiz.me/virtual. It's right down there. You can sign up for that, or if you want an autograph or the recorded video message, he'll do those. Go ahead and sign up right now. Those are available to the end of the night tonight, but those one-on-one videos are going to be right after this, so you'll want to jump on that right away. Nicholas Piazza has a question for us, Chazz. He says, even though you had minimal screen time with Joe Pesci in the movie, really just at the end, how was working with him? And then if you want to expand that, how we're working with some of the other great Italian-American actors who have had the chance to work with you. Well,
I didn't really work with Joe Pesci. I was laying in the coffin when he came over. But a funny story is, Bob De Niro is a legend for doing a lot of takes. So after I don't know how many takes, after about 3-4 hours, I kept falling asleep in the coffin. So every time I would go to sleep, I would start to snore. And Joe Pesci would go, "How am I going to do my scene? What am I doing my scene here with this guy snoring? What is he, dead or is he snoring?" And we just kept laughing. And but I didn't work with Joe, but I know Joe very well, and he's just one of the great actors and a great guy and very, very funny. Very funny.
Yeah. How about some of the others? I mean, you got to work with Scorsese, you got to work with Stallone, you got to work with John Cazale.
Yeah. I love working with Sly. Sly is I did a movie with him called Oscar. I still know Sly. I speak to him once in a while. He's just a great guy and one of the brightest guys in the business I've ever met. I mean, look, this man invented the sequel. And I mean that. He invented the sequel. Rocky, Rambo. I mean, this guy is really bright and really savvy in the business. And I really enjoyed working with him a great deal, really a lot. And of course, De Niro. I worked with De Niro 4 times. And, there's a reason why he's one of the great actors that have lived. If you look at the top 10, he's always in the top 5 somewhere. Bob, I always say Marlon Brando changed acting in the 50s. Bob De Niro changed acting in the 80s when he did Raging Bull. So to me, Bob will always be one of the great actors of all time.
And getting back to Stallone, I mean, his story with Rocky is your story with A Bronx Tale. He wouldn't do it without.
Absolutely. In fact, when I was
you guys are the same.
When I was doing it, I talked to Sly, and he was very kind and nice to me. I was an unknown actor, and he said, "I heard about what's going on, Chazz, and if you really believe in it," he said, "you stick to it and don't give in." And I said, "Oh, thanks, Sly." That's all he said, and I never forgot that.
Now that's really good advice, and what you started at the beginning of this, talking about the line from your father, is great advice also, not letting talent going wasted. And we have a question from Dante Giovanni. He's 15 years old. He's a young actor. He wants to know what other advice do you have for him as a young actor?
Yeah, well, I mean, I wanted to be an actor when I was 15 too. And I tell him that, his name is Dante?
Dante,
that's my son's name. And I'll tell Dante that If you really believe it in your heart, go for it with everything you got. You gotta remember, it's always good to go to school, to get some kind of education. Not only that, but if you want, you have to study acting. A lot of people just think they want to be actors. Yeah, you can do that audition, but if you try to major in drama, that's what I did. I majored in drama in college. I wanted to write, so you major in writing if you can. If not, you just want to make sure that you can act as much as you can, because people will never know you're good until they see you act. So audition for everything and act at every chance you get. And don't be afraid of the word no, because most people are going to tell you no. Just remember, you'll get 100 no's and 1 yes. It's the yes you're looking for. That's my advice.
No, that's fantastic. And, it's advice. You followed it yourself. And if you rewatch A Bronx Tale, that's the advice in the movie. Even Sonny is saying to him, stay in school and get both educations. So even though Sonny, is a complicated character in terms of good and bad, I mean, he does have that advice.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. See, the thing that makes Bronx Tale, and I say this humbly, a classic, what people say, is that Sonny and the father were telling the boy the same thing, exactly the same. It's just that who Sonny was, the father rejected that because he didn't want his son to be influenced. It's not about black and white. It's gray and gray. As great as Sonny was a killer. As great as my father was, he felt funny about me dating a black girl. So everybody had their faults. And it's about accepting who that person is and then moving on.
And like you said, no one's completely good or completely bad in most of these movies. Right. But let's be honest, Sonny's a bad guy. And in The Usual Suspects, you're a really good guy. Which did you like better, playing a bad guy or a good guy?
Well, it's always better playing the bad guy. I mean, I like playing the bad guy. I love The Usual Suspects, playing the good guy. But when you're the bad guy, you have the bad guy is the antagonist, and the antagonist always has the great role, because the lead guy, everything happens to him, so he's a little more passive. But the people around him, the antagonists, make everything happen. But I enjoyed, Usual Suspects. Wow, that's one of the great movies. Now that's a movie I want to see a sequel. Searching for Kyleosaur. That is a great, I think would be a great sequel, actually.
I mean, that feels like a movie that the tenor of it felt like it could have been made in the 40s. Like it had, and then it has the twist surprise at the end. Anyone who hasn't watched it yet, go see it, please. I won't tell you the twist at the end, but.
Oh, God, yeah. Well, that's a great script by Brian McQuarrie. I mean, he won the Academy Award. And Brian Singer, an unknown director at the time, a young kid, was just absolutely brilliant directing it.
Was there an alternate ending where you catch him, or where you find out, or that was the ending?
No, not that I know of. There might have been. You would have to ask Brian that. But when I came on board, that was always the ending. Always. Always.
It's such a great movie, and then again, that twist at the end makes it worth it. You have been introduced to, I think, a completely new generation with Modern Family, and having a role on there, and you've been a recurring character for several years on there. How much fun are you having with that?
Oh my God! Well, I've been fortunate to come on the past 9 years on that. Just coming on and doing a few episodes, and it's been great. I mean, you're right, but so many people come over to me and they go, "Oh, young kids, I love you on Modern Family." They know nothing about Bronx Tale, right? But they love me. They go, "Shorty, shorty," and that's always fun. And I love the show. I mean, the show is one of the great shows in television history, without a doubt. And everybody in it they are the nicest, most talented people. Sophia and Ed and all of them, and the creator, Steve. I mean, it's just a great, great group of people, and I'm very happy for their success.
We have another question going back to A Bronx Tale. I was going to introduce you as the man who has 5 fingers but only needs 3. I didn't, but this question is, what are some of your favorite lines from A Bronx Tale?
Oh, wow. Well, of course, Now You Can't Leave. That one. When I get on a plane, and as soon as they shut the door, and all of a sudden I hear over the speaker, Now You Can't Leave. You know, the pilot says, "Now," because he knows I'm on the plane, and everybody laughs. You know. Every time I walk into a nightclub or a restaurant on my way out, the guy stands in front of the door and says, "Now You Can't Leave." You know, it's fun. So that one, Throw 'em in the Bathroom is another one. Is it better to be loved or feared? That's another one. God, there's so many. You Ruined My Lunch. That's another one. The Machiavelli lines from Machiavelli. It has a slew. And of course, the saddest thing in life is wasted talent. Of course, that one. Yes.
You started the entire session, and like we said before, like one of the original questions is whether those characters that came from real life, but also the lessons in there, they came from your real life as well. It's your story.
Yes, those are my father's lessons. Yes, Bronx Tale is my story. I dated a black girl. I used to throw the dice for the Wiseguys in the cellar when I was young. I dated a black girl in 1968. I mean, this is the year Robert Kennedy got assassinated. Martin Luther King got assassinated. It was not a time to date a black woman at that time. But, I saw her, she saw me, and I don't know, we just kind of fell in love with each other, And a lot of people, I don't want to say it for the record now, right now, out there, whoever's listening, people come over to me and say, hey, that never happened, you dating a black girl. That's bullshit. De Niro put that in. I said, no, De Niro did not put that in. I did date a black girl. I said, in fact, I dated a lot of black women after that. I said, is that a problem with you? He goes, no, but I can't believe a guy in an Italian neighborhood. I said, well, you're talking to the guy. I am the guy. I'm Cologio. Do you understand? It's like some people just can't believe that I did that because of the time, And I always straighten them right out about that.
Yeah, I mean, the scene on the bus is beautiful. I mean, he just gets out of being with his friends and seeing what his friends think of being on the other side, and here he's ready to fall in love.
And the thing that made it really different, Jerry, was my father was not prejudiced. My father trained black fighters, invited them up the house. We had dinner in the 68 now. And he treated everybody incredible on the bus. But when he thought his son was dating a black girl, now that was something else, which back then some parents felt that way. Well, what are you doing? But it wasn't because he was prejudiced. It was because he knew what I was about to face in the neighborhood. That's why, because he loved me so much.
But despite all that, you gave in the movie, the character gives her the test.
Yes.
The door test.
That's another one.
No one ever passed the door test for me. She passes the door test, and it's another cute scene in the movie where he comes around and he gives that little leap. How'd you come up with that door test, and did you really do that in real life?
Well, yes, did you real life? Now, I didn't think of that or come up with that. It was something that we talked about when we were kids. I'm just the first one to put it in the movie. And I said, wait a minute, this would be a nice way to connect them. So I wrote that in, but we always felt if a girl doesn't open the door for you, get out of there, forget it. That means she's a selfish bitch. Excuse me for saying that, but we used to say that. That's one of the lines in the play. And she's never going to make you happy. And you know what? And we'd laugh about that, and I wrote it in the movie. Now, women, I had a test for the girls too, but Bob felt it didn't work in the movie. It was too much. And that is when a guy drives you home, I tell all the ladies out there, when you get out of the car, if he leaves before you get in your door, dump him, because he's not a good guy. So that's their test, you say.
Everyone's got a test. So another good acting question from Broadway Freddie. Broadway Freddie wants to know advice you can give to an actor on being in the moment, that specific thing in acting, being in the moment.
Okay, that's a good question for Freddie. Here are the three most important things that this is what I do. I teach a how to audition course at one-on-one. It's called one-on-one in New York. And I do it maybe 3 times a year when I have a moment, or 4 times a year. It's a 3-day course. If you want to go, great. If not, it's fine. I'm only saying that to tell what I teach there. Unless you do these 3 things, you cannot be in the moment. You can't. It's impossible. 3 things. 1, relaxation. Unless you're relaxed, you cannot be in the moment. Second thing is know your lines. Know them really good. And the third thing is listen to the other actor. Listen. Relax. Know your lines. Listen to the other actor talk to you. If you do those 3 things, you'll be in the moment. Absolutely.
Getting a little acting 101 here at Wizard World Virtual Experiences. If you want to learn a little bit more about Chazz, you can go to his Instagram, right? Instagram is a place, kind of the best place to get in touch with you. Also, ChazzPalminteri.net. You have a Facebook presence. You are Mr. Social Media, Chazz.
Yeah, I mean, I love to interact with people on my Instagram. My Instagram has all the dates of my one-man show, all of the dates of my one-man shows and everything that I'm doing. And if you ask me a question, and if it's cool, I'll answer you back. And it's great because I like to interact with my fans. I believe these are the people that have been following me for 30 years. That's why I thank God I'm still around. And so I say, hey, my Instagram, Chazz Palminteri, come on in.
Absolutely. And if you want to interact with Chazz today, starting at the top of the hour, go to wiz.me/virtual. It's right down there. There it is, right down there. And you'll have a chance for a one-on-one video chat with Chazz. So we're looking forward to those later today. Another question from Yonder is from Vince DiGregorio. We're getting all the paisans today, Chazz. This is great. He's watching South Philly. Bunch of Italian Americans are big fans of yours and want to know about Blue Bloods. What's it like being on the show Blue Bloods? That's a popular show now, too.
Yeah, that's a great show. I love working on that show. Tom Selleck, really stand-up guy, just a great individual. And, and Donnie Wahlberg, just great actors, great people, great writing. And I enjoyed working on that show very much.
Just a reminder to fans, whether you're watching on Twitter or on Twitch or on Facebook, if you've got questions you want to ask, now's a good time. Throw them into that chat. We'll post the best ones and we'll get them asked for you. Question also from fans is which role that you took, that you've done, that you kind of deviates the most from who you are, right? Obviously, you did some roles that feel like you, and then you've done some that aren't. Which one do you feel is like most different from you as a person?
Wow, that's a good question. That's the most different from me. Wow. It's really, I always bring something of myself into any role that I played. I did a movie called Yonkers Joe. I thought it was a great movie. And I had to play this guy who was a gambler, but he had this kid who had autism, and I had to go to places that I really never went before. And the director, a wonderful director, Bob Costantino, really helped me get there. And it was just a role that I really cherish, and I loved it. Also, a guide to recognizing your saints. I had to play an 80-year-old sick man with makeup at the end, and I did my scene with Robert Downey Jr. It's a great movie, Guide to Recognizing Your Saints. I recommend it highly. With my friend Dito, the director, and he was just amazing. And I grew a lot in those movies that I thought that I went to places I'd never been before.
You talked before about writing for screen and writing for the stage. You ever have writer's block? Matt Massafero wants to ask, what do you do to overcome writer's block?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Writer's block, I call that just another word that you're just lazy. And I know people are going to get mad at me for saying that. And I'll tell you why. And what's his name? Matt? What's his first name?
Yeah, Matt.
Okay, listen to me very carefully what I'm going to tell you right now. The difference between an amateur and a professional writer is this. Okay, an amateur writer writes garbage and gets demoralized and stops. So writes garbage, gets demoralized. You have to be willing to write garbage. If you just keep writing and you don't know, you say, oh, this sucks, just keep writing. Sooner or later, something will come in.
No, it's good. It's good. It's almost like keeping at everything. That's been your life at everything. So here's another question about a different movie, which is great. I love that people are asking about a lot of different things you've been in. The movie Jade. So Joe Foster wants to know what it was like working with William Friedkin, because he's so intense on the set. How did that work for you?
Oh, I love Billy Friedkin. I loved him. We are still friends. I email him once in a while. He emails me. Billy Friedkin is one of the great directors who ever lived. The Exodus, obviously. Oh my God, I could go on and on with Billy Friedkin. You know, I love Jade. I love the movie. It didn't do well at the box, but that doesn't mean anything. If it's a great movie, it's a great movie. He's very intense, but a real master of filmmaking. And I say that word, master, and he is.
You know what? Another master of filmmaking that got to work with you is Woody Allen.
Oh,
about your experiences working with Woody Allen. He's tremendous as well, obviously.
Oh, great. Yeah. Woody Allen, one of the smartest directors I've ever worked with, just knows comedy. You know, he says these little things. He doesn't talk to the actors a lot. In fact, if he does talk to you, that means you're going to get fired. So you hope that he doesn't talk to you. And I remember one time there was a line in the movie. I say, John Cusack says to me, "You burned down your high school?" He said, and I say, "Yeah, it was Lincoln's birthday. There was nobody there." So I gave a beat like I just did. I went, "Yeah, it was Lincoln's birthday. There was nobody there." And Woody said, "Cut." And he walked over to me. He goes, "Why are you taking a pause?" And I went, it's such a funny line. He goes, no pauses, Chazz. Don't take pauses. Say the line straight through." And then I went, "It was Lincoln's birthday. There was Lincoln's birthday. There was nobody there. That's funnier than taking a pause." And he was right. So he's just so smart. And, well, look, I mean, who's more prolific than him?
No, and he's a master of...
He's like the modern day... Yeah. He will go down as the modern day Charlie Chaplin. Trust me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Anything Manhattan, anything that he does. Broadway Danny Rose. I mean, movies like that are just
exactly. But that's a good example of someone who just keeps, whether the movie's good, but some are great, some are good, some are not so good, some are brilliant. And that's what Woody believes in. Just keep writing. Just keep writing.
Right. And sometimes you can't help if the material is not at a standard. You do a movie like Scan City, you do a movie and it's just not quite, that level, but you can only control your own performance, correct?
Exactly. You worry about what you do. It's a miracle how movies make money. I don't know how because they could screw up at any time. The script could be changed. It could be miscast. It could be misdirected. It could be mishandled in the press. Anything could happen. Bad movies make a lot of money. Good movies make no money. Nobody knows why.
Sometimes, yeah. So now Joseph Caballero has a question, another paisan for you, Chazz. Wants to know if there's any shows on TV, and you've been in a bunch of them, that you really want to work on that you haven't yet, that's out there.
Wow. Well, I would have loved to work on Breaking Bad, but that's over. I love that show. I thought that was a brilliant show. I think a show now. I like to show Barry. That show Barry. You know, I think that's a really good show. I would like to.
Winkler tomorrow, right here on this same Twitch. Just come back at 3:00 tomorrow, and Henry Winkler will be here talking about Barry.
Yeah, Henry's so great on that show. I mean, I love that show, and Henry's great on it. You know, and I'm glad to see this guy get his just due now, as far as artistic wise, because you know, here's the guy who went to Yale. You know, and look, he got famous for Fonzie. And look, that was a great thing. But you know what? The character of this guy is he left it behind. He got into some directing, and he made another second career for himself. Why? Because the cream always rises to the top. Sooner or later, the talent comes through. And Henry's a really great actor. And I love the show. I think it's terrific.
Yeah, Henry's been to a bunch of our shows at Wizard World. He's become a great friend of ours, and we're looking forward to tomorrow. And now we're excited. Now you're a great friend of ours at Wizard World, Chazz. We really appreciate you today. A couple more quick questions just before we bang out and switch off to those one-on-ones. Again, if you want to get a one-on-one live chat with Chazz starting at the top of the hour, go now to this address right down here at the bottom. You can really see it, wiz.me/virtual. Jesse Moore, back with another question, wants to know if your one-man show, The Bronx Tale, is going to be coming back to San Francisco. I know it's not on the schedule right now. Any plans to go back to the West Coast with it?
Yes, absolutely. We talked about that, in fact. Like I say to everybody, you go on Chazz Palminteri, my Instagram, and I have my schedule there. And that's the best way to know what I'm doing. I have my assistant. She puts a new date on right away. So you'll know right away when you see a new date. But we are going to be back in San Francisco. No question. We talked about it.
No, it's great. And the experience for anyone to know right now, if you go on the chazzpalminteri.net and click on that schedule, I know June is probably the next time you have. We just still don't know yet. A lot in the New York, New Jersey area that we saw in there, but hopefully we all get back pretty soon to all the things that we get to do. And one of them, of course, is getting a chance to come to our shows, but also a chance to come to see. And what we're missing right now, Chazz, is that interaction with people. But we hope that, you know, today and other opportunities like this really helps people understand that, you know, there's still some great entertainment out there.
Oh, absolutely. And this is really the only place that I like this so I can interact with people. You know, you really can't interact with anybody on Instagram or Facebook, or I can't do it. I'm just too busy. But doing this, I have a chance to actually answer your question, talk to you, and tell you how I feel.
That's great. So we talked about, this is great, this is an opportunity today to have to talk about a lot of these different movies that you were in. Bullets Over Broadway is a kind of an underrated one, I think, in your repertoire. It's great, and it's kind of mixed in at the same era there. What are your impressions and thoughts of that one?
Well, when you say underrated, I know what you're saying. I mean, it got nominated for 8 Academy Awards. I don't know if it was underrated there. Box office wise, it did good. You know, Woody Allen always told me, he told me an interesting thing once. He said, in my movies, a third of the people will see anything I do. A third of the people will never see a Woody Allen movie. He goes, I'm looking for the other third. Those are the people I like to get. And the movie did well. And it's one of his best, I think. And a lot of people think. So I love the movie.
And we talked about some of your comedy roles, Oscar, and of course, Modern Family, and your more serious roles. Which do you like better, doing comedy or doing drama? That's a question from Johnny Cialiano.
Sicilian, yeah.
Sounds like it. Sicilian.
Sounds like I love doing both. I just love doing good writing. I just love the role that I really want to play, that I'm dying to play, is a priest. I want to play a street priest. And I'm going to have to write a series myself because I can't find something. I just want to play a priest, a movie or a TV series.
You're going to have a hard time.
But sooner or later, I'll find
Godfather of Harlem. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when I finish my series, I'm going to be doing it. So it's fine.
That's great. Well, listen, Chazz, we appreciate you taking time today to be with fans from, again, all over the world. We have more questions. We're sorry if we didn't get to all of the questions, but I think we got the gist of them. There were some other folks who asked similar things, so we appreciate everyone's input. And again, if you want that one-on-one live opportunity coming up at the top of the hour, just go to wiz.me/virtual, and you can sign up for those. You can sign up for the autographs and the recorded videos that Chazz will do later. Those are available till midnight tonight. And again, go to Chazz's Instagram to keep connection with him and to see all the things that are coming up. Chazz, anything else you want to tell us before we sign off with the crowd?
No, I think we covered everything. And I just think, I said, if you really want to talk to me one-on-one, a personal question about your career or about some advice, the best way to do it is through this right now. The other way, I really don't have time to really talk to people. This is really the best way. If you have a personal question about your career, about your life, whatever, I'm looking forward to hearing from you.
Yeah, those are a lot of fun. We hope a lot of fans take advantage of that. So again, everyone from the Usual Suspects and from Modern Family and A Bronx Tale, the great Chazz Palminteri. Chazz, thank you so much for being with us today. And everyone, thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, this is Alex Malari Jr., and you are watching Fandom Spotlight. Be sure to hit that like button, share, and subscribe. Your Emperor commands it. Thanks for watching.